The Writer of the Year award goes to Jonathan Wilson. Jonathan, it's the second time you've won the award, I believe.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Yeah, I shouldn't sound so surprised, should I?
Long time ago, the first one, though.
Indeed. Well, and there you have the award back in your hands. It must be a nice feeling.
Yeah, no, and the fact it's voted for by the fans, it means that little bit more. It's not some faceless jury; it's a faceless mass of fans. But they are, as people keep saying tonight, the lifeblood of the game.
Indeed, yeah. And your writings have taken you all over the world. Of course, many different sort of subjects that you covered domestically and abroad. I mean, in the last year, any particular piece or something that you've covered stands out?
I mean, I think the most important bit of journalism I've ever done was what we did in Gabon, where we uncovered the massacre. Not really to do with football. We were in Gabon because of a Cup of Nations. And, Taimur Lay, who's an immigration lawyer, does the odd thing for the Independent. He really was a driving force behind that. But we inadvertently went to the campaign headquarters of Jean Ping, the opposition leader, and all these bullet holes, blood on the walls, and suddenly there's something pretty horrible has happened here, and hadn't been reported. And we investigated that, and we proved that. We have the names of 27 people who were killed. We have the names of 23 people who were killed. We know at least 27 were killed, and we think probably more than 50 were killed. And you find yourself, in an office with the Gabonese Prime Minister, asking him, "Did you use live rounds?" And that's it matters in a way that maybe a lot of football stuff doesn't really matter.
Yeah, and the Africa Cup of Nations is something that you've covered a number of times before. Obviously, I mean that's way beyond football journalism, of course. But that tournament itself, it's one that you've enjoyed so many times over the years.
Yeah, I mean, so Gabon was the 8th one I've done, I guess there's two things. One is, the thing that made me fall in love with football was the World Cup in '82 and '86. I mean, club football was great, but 82 and 86 World Cups, they were things that really nailed it on. And tournament football, I've done 20 tournaments now. The World Cup will be my 21st. But the World Cup's too long. You're exhausted by the end of it. The Euros 24 teams is too long. You cannot keep that intensity for 4 or 5 weeks of that getting up at 6 in the morning, going to bed at midnight, travelling all over the country, eating terribly, not doing exercise. It destroys you physically and mentally. Cup of Nations is 3.5 weeks. It's manageable. It's intense. You have loads of difficulties with infrastructure and things, but that's part of the fun of it. And you meet so many different people. You stumble across stories. I mean, Gabon was an extreme example, but you stumble across stories that you would not find anywhere else, and stories that are very human stories. And that, I think, is one of the. I mean, there are many values of football journalism. One of the great values for me is that football is a universal thing. So if I tell you a story about a Gabonese footballer or a Gabonese football fan, you at least have some idea of who they are and what they are. It's not somebody completely alien. You at least have one thing in common, one point of contact. And that, I think, is why football is so important culturally, that it is the one global game. And
talking about the sort of duration of tournaments and all, obviously you're not keen for the World Cup to become 48 teams.
No, I think that'll be a disaster. I mean, 32, I feel is too long, but equally, I'm not really sure how it could be smaller and still be a global. You've got to balance the two things. You want to have a global representation, and you also want to prove who the best team, or find who the best team in the world is. And with 32 teams, that balance is almost there. It still feels a bit bloated. It's still a bit too long, but realistically, that's where it has to be done. For Euros, I think the quality has dipped off significantly, going from 16 to 24. I've written this and said this a million times, but I'll say it again. That if you look at the teams with the best qualifying records, and you look at the teams who got to the last 16, there's two different. So we went through all those group stages to change two names over, teams who were then knocked out in the last 16. Well, I'm not sure that's worth it.
But you will be in Russia next summer, of course, and we can enjoy some of your writings then.
Yeah, all booked up. Got my final trains booked this week when I saw the draw.
So did Italy, I believe.
So yeah, really looking forward to it. I mean, I've been in Moscow a lot, been in St. Petersburg quite a bit, but I'm going down to Kazan and really looking forward to that. City I haven't been to, but looks fascinating.
Excellent. Jonathan Wilson, well done. Congratulations. Cheers. Thank you very much.